Hey NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIFBALL Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, this is Corey Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIF Ball Podcast, powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, the best in the business since 1974. You saw it last week there with their ad about having the perfect bracket being 1 in a million. Well, having a good experience with AdCraft is a 1 in 1. You're going to get that every time. But again, you don't come to hear me prattle on about our sponsors. You come here for the coaches, and we want to welcome St. Francis of Illinois head coach Joe Curry to the NAIF Ball Podcast. How are you, Coach?
Hi, Corey. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. Man, such a great season a year ago. And you hate it there. It's almost identical to the 21 season, kind of how it ended. But let's start with a little bit lighter topic before we get into football. We asked Coach Mike Feminist kind of the same thing. Y'all are both kind of Chicago guys around there. Is the Chicago pizza a pizza, or is it just a really weird kind of pie?
It's a pizza. Don't let anybody tell you any different.
What's your favorite toppings?
Well, I used to be a little tidbit about me. I used to be a big meat eater, but not recently. So I've kind of changed what goes on my pizza as of recent. So right now it's a lot of vegetables.
And that Chicago dog, that's a little weird. What are you getting on your Chicago dog?
There is no ketchup allowed. I will say that. But the works for the most part.
Excellent. That's two of the things that eventually, when I get up to Chicago, I'm gonna have to experience it. There's no. I'm sure that there are lots of places where you can get a Chicago style pizza and you can get a Chicago style hot dog, but I don't think there's any place where you're going to get one of those that gives you the true Chicago experience. Honestly.
No, there's not. There's a lot of food up here. That's why I'll kid Coach Feminist, but that's why he's a little bit overweight and I'm not.
Oh, shots fired early on. Excellent. I love it. Well, Coach, looking back at your schedule a year ago, it wasn't the most pleasant start to your season, was it? You faced two Mideast teams, both with great track records. Obviously, St. Francis not necessarily in Indiana, having done real well in back-to-back seasons, but they're you can't overlook them. Unfortunately, you dropped both of those games to start your season. What did that tell you about your team? I mean, adversity is just as important as winning sometimes.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought you look back into our fall season camp last year. I really thought we had some pieces together to put together a nice little run. Unfortunately, that's why you play the games. And quite frankly, we practiced in camp, and I thought we were heading in the right direction. And then we had always scrimmaged Carthage College, a week before our first full game and everything, and we scrimmaged Carthage. Obviously, it's a scrimmage, so you kind of got a different MO going into it as a coach. Number one, don't get anybody hurt, and number two, try to see what you got a little bit. And I don't know if we were disappointed or just kind of like, wow, we got a lot of work to do, kind of a deal. And then we saw that come out versus St. Francis, where I didn't think we played very well. Now, give St. Francis a lot of credit because they had a lot to do with that, but we just felt that we should have played better in that contest. And I really think, though, the way we lost to St. Francis, that kind of springboarded us for the rest of the year because, our second game we went into Marion, and Marion being a national powerhouse and whatnot, they posed a lot of problems for us. I believe that they were ranked number 5 in the country when we played them, and and we played them right down to the wire there. It was a close game late, and they outlasted us and did a good job. But our kids, I think, saw that day that we can play with the best, in the country and everything. And once we played Marion, then I felt like we had a shot to, do some good things. But the nature of the beast in college football is you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, so you never really know what you're going to get from one week to the next. And our kids wanted it. They talked about it, and thank God, our third game we came out victorious and just kind of rolled for the rest of our season from there. Kind of got us going and some confidence, and we were making plays both offensively and defensively, and kind of turned some things around, that we were suffering from early on.
You then hit the middle part of your season. You get 5 straight wins there between September 24th and October 22nd, kind of knocking out the Midwest a little bit there. And then, man, I don't know who designed the last 3 weeks of your season, but they love pain. Playing at Olivet versus Roosevelt, and then playing your rivalry game at St. Xavier. You come away with 2 out of 3 there, but unfortunately, it's another close one at St. Xavier. I don't know that either one of y'all know how to win games against each other by double-digit points, but here we are.
Well, I will say that for years they had us with double-digit points. Don't get me wrong, and so our kids get up to play St. Xavier, and it's one of those things that we want to try to start learning from and trying to figure out ways that we can go into that game and treat it as if it were any other. But I know that's a lot easier said than done. But try to get our kids to understand that, and our coaches to understand it and prepare that way. And one of these days, it's gonna fall the right direction for us. Coach Feminist told me that he hopes it's when he retires. I told him it would start. I want it to start now, and so we kind of differ on that opinion. But they do a great job preparing, and the way that our schedules worked out. We have a scheduling committee in our conference, and we every 2 years our schedule changes. So everybody's on a 2-year schedule. And just so happened for these past 2-year schedules, because we're into a new one in 2023. It ended up that we ended the year with Olivet, Roosevelt, and St. X. That's not going to happen in 2023, and moving forward in our league. But it was fun while it lasted.
Fun is one way to say it. I'm sure that caused a couple sleepless nights on your end, thinking, oh my gosh, I got to play all these 3 jokers back to back to back. But you talked about the schedule changing. It's not going to. Yes, it is because you have a new scheduling cycle, but man, there's also a lot going on in the MSFA. Unfortunately for y'all, it's going to be some folks leaving, whether it be Roosevelt moving to, I believe, D2, if I remember correctly, and then MOBAP heading over to the Heart of America. So you've got a little bit of rejiggering with the divisions to do, or someone has some rejiggering to do. Talk to me about getting the MSFA remade and what that's going to look like for y'all.
Well, one of the things I'm confident about, at least in the mid-states, I've been around it long enough. It's always an ever-changing league. Back when I first played in it, and when I first got back to St. Francis as a coach, we had William Penn and Grandview, and Iowa Westland, Waldorf. We had Quincy, we had McKendree. All of them were in the mid-states, and throughout the years, a team has left, and a team is added, and a team is left, and a team is added, and it's a kind of a vicious cycle. But at the end of the day, what happens is we're getting teams that leave us that want to go Division II. So the schools want to improve their program and their football team. So obviously that football team has a capability to compete at those levels, and then bring in new teams into one of the best, if not the best, football conference in the country. Kind of gives us everybody wants to come join us kind of a thing. And so hopefully that continues here. Yes, with those guys leaving, and, you also, Trinity International also is not participating in football anymore either as of this fall. So
I forgot about that.
There's another added team that the Mid-States has got to work around, and I'm confident in our commissioner that we will get that done and, figure out, we got our 2023 figured out, but going on to 2024, 25 and further on down the road, I'm confident in our leadership that we will figure that out and get that done.
I do hate that for Trinity. I mean, it's not a straight closure like you saw at a school like a Presentation or like a Kentucky Christian, but moving to online, that unfortunately means the axe for athletics. That's one of those things that you sort of got to do in person.
And it's terrible for those kids, and I feel sorry for all the coaches and players and everybody part of that program. But it's one of those things again that we've seen throughout colleges in the country nowadays, that Trinity's one, but there's been others throughout the country, whether Division II or something like that, or Division III, that they've decided to cut football or cancel a school or something of those nature. So I mean, it's our world nowadays. It's ever changing, and we just have to adapt with it and then do the best we can, and still confident that we have or can be one of the best conferences in the entire country.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your team real quick, and really your offense in general. Really runs through Sam Tumulty. I mean, we talked about it last year. He is the little engine that could, as it goes for your football team. 11 touchdown passes, almost 1,250 yards on the season, 856 yards on the ground, 16 rushing touchdowns. You do lose Matt Knutson, an first team All MSFA Midwest. Talk to me about your team coming back, and hopefully you've got someone to replace Knutson that can open some holes for Tumulty.
Well, one of the things that we just started spring football this week, so that's one of the some of the things, some of the questions, and hopefully we get answered here over our spring ball time. But we do a good job recruiting, and we do a good job of bringing in some players. So the thing about our offensive line, even last year, I believe we did not go until, I want to say, week 7 or 8 did we start 5 consecutive offensive linemen week to week. So, it was an ever changing, just through injuries and those sort of things, an ever changing, who was playing what up there. Now Knutson, our first team all guy, he was a guy that kind of withstood the storm and kind of played for us through everything. But everybody, and Ashton did too. So those two guys Ashton Sorgi. So those two guys kind of anchored everything for us last year. But, we got Ashton back, and we got two kids coming back who started for us last year as well. And another one, we started a freshman last year at guard and at center at times. And he's back as well. So we can put together a starting 5 that have started multiple football games for us here throughout the spring. And we're even deeper than that. We even got people behind them that we really like, and we've signed some good ones. So I'm happy with our O-line and happy with what we do. And our offensive line coach, Christopher Norton, does a heck of a job of getting those guys ready to go. And you're right, we want to run the football, and we want to run it through our quarterback. Our quarterback is always going to be the focal point of what we do here. It's just on what he can do, whether he's a runner, thrower, or he can do both. And we're fortunate enough to have Sam who can do both. So it's a good offensive system to be a part of, and I thought last year we started out kind of shaky, like I said, but that was just team wide. It wasn't necessarily our offense in general. But as the year went on, I thought we started to hit our stride, and we were averaging about 35, almost 40 a game there towards the end of the year, and so I anticipate those things, moving forward here in the spring and everything. I mean, besides Knutson, I believe we lost one of our tight ends, Dawan Gavin, and then, one of our slot receivers, Keemon Koran, on offense, who, started some games, but, we had other guys rotate in too. So the majority of our offensive starters are back, and looking forward for big explosive things for them this year.
That's always a great thing. Unfortunately, on defense, you're going to have to do a little bit of next man up here on all 3 levels, whether it be Ryan King on your D-line, TJ Neal and Michael Whitney at the linebacker spots, or Angel Mata with his 7 interceptions at your DB spot. The good news is that you've got a guy in Michael Johnson who was good for 11 tackles for loss and 3 forced fumbles, and uh, the other Energizer bunny on the other side of the ball, Scott Tumulty,
Yeah.
who plays a mighty good safety for you. Talk to me about filling those spots defensively.
Yeah, well, so I mean, our defense, we do a heck of a job, I think, and obviously I'm biased, but we were, just like baseball, everybody says you got to be strong up the middle, right? So you got to be strong up front on the D line, which Michael Johnson's there, and he's one of the best players I've ever coached on the D line. Like his motor and how he just affects games is one like I've never seen before here at St. Francis. So he anchors our defensive line. Our middle backer last year, TJ Neal, he was strong, and then Scott Tumulty right behind him at our free safety. So it's we were strong up the middle. The one thing about what we're doing on defense, even though we lost TJ and Michael Whitney, I believe we played some kids last year, and just like our offense, we played some guys last year that started multiple games for us. And the cool thing about it is in the NAI, you can play 2 games and it won't cost you your eligibility. So we started a couple kids, a couple games, just to get them, get their feet wet, so to speak. And they're coming in and they're going to be the next man up for us at our linebacker spots. And, so far here in the spring, I'm liking what I'm seeing and what we're able to do. Replacing Angel at corner is I mean, obviously when you have a corner who leads the nation in picks or tied for the nation, I believe he was in picks, you're not going to replace that right away. Angel was a heck of a player, but he played people and outbeat him with his mind more than his athletic ability. And I don't say that detriment to Angel. Like he was always our coach on the field, saying, "Hey, coach, I think we should do this. I think we should do that." And for the most part, he was right. So losing him will be big. But again, we got some guys, behind him. We brought in some transfers. We had 6 mid-semester transfers, a couple on defense, a couple on offense. Who we believe are going to just step right in there and help build this team both offensively and defensively and the needs that we have right now.
Well, Coach, it sounds like to me that you're kind of the opinion that if you can find spots to play guys and get them game reps, whether they be underclassmen or just building your depth there, that's something that really down the line is going to be an important thing for USF. Talk to me a little bit about building that depth through substitution.
Well, yeah, I think that number one, I think you keep more kids engaged because they're always going to have, they're always knowing they're going to get an opportunity. Now, when that is, they don't know, but they're always engaged and they're always asking questions because they know at some point they're going to be put in there. And one of the things that we've done a great job of establishing here, we've been trying, but over the years, but we've been really good at it over the past couple of years is establishing defensively and offensively a culture of, hey, this is who we are, this is what we're going to be, and we're going to be successful at it. As much as some years we've tried to, and maybe the results haven't been there, so some of the kids might not have, necessarily believed in it, but we've gotten the results, and our kids really love playing on Saturdays and being a part of a winner, and they talk about all the time what they want to do and what their goals are, and they haven't reached anything yet, and so. Hopefully we can get that depth established. And again, that's, part of spring ball as well, figuring out some of those things. But I like where we are. We're a week in, so we're only a week in, but I like where we are right now. And the challenge is I keep telling our team is, hey, we have to find a way every day to be 1% better than what you were yesterday. And if we can do that by the end of spring ball, we're going to be a much better team coming into the fall, which is ultimately what we want.
Well, Coach, I think it's kind of the NODA statement here of the off season. It's a question I've been asking everybody. But if you're not improving, you're falling behind. It's life's dragging you backwards. Happens to all of us. So, what area of your program, whether it be on the field or off the field, do y'all really want to focus on and improve in 2023 to get over the hump?
Well, I think it's on and off the field. In our program, the couple of things that we wanted to do this off season, One in the classroom. We wanted to get better GPAs because the way the NAI counts it, you can play more players if you have better grades. So hence, if we have more players in the field, the better depth we'll have. So we talk about grades all the time. Secondly, we felt that this year we needed to take a step forward in the weight room. Just program wise, it wasn't like we were getting pushed around out there in the field, but I did feel, at the end of the year we had a lot of nagging injuries that our bodies weren't in shape for what the MSFA is, and that last game of the year, you have to go at your peak performance. And I don't believe that we've been there the past couple of years. And some plays it might have hurt us. Who knows? So that's been a big emphasis for us. And then, just particularly on the field, when you talk about what we're looking to improve on, a lot of consistency. We keep going back to the word consistency because we have shown, offensively that we can run the ball against anybody if that guy goes the right way and blocks the right guy, and that's the nature of offensive football. You get 10 guys going in the right direction and one guy who doesn't, and the play is terrible, Defensively, you can get 10 guys going in the right direction and one not in the right direction, but the offense fumbles the ball or something. So it's the nature of the beast, but consistency on offense and consistency on defense. And then what we wanted to also work on, what we've been talking about as a staff, is preparing our guys for big situations. So we're trying to figure out ways to put our guys in difficult thinking situations that they have to do, so that when we get to those pressure moments or whatever, hopefully it becomes a little bit more of a second nature kind of a thing. So those are the things we've kind of tried to focus on here this offseason.
Well, I know one thing for certain is that the MSFA is not going to relent. You're always going to have tough games. I mean, if it's not St. Francis and Marion and Olivet and Roosevelt and St. Xavier, it's going to be Concordia and Siena Heights and Indiana Wesleyan, and Lord knows they're probably going to pick up right where they left off with picking up Morningside's offensive coordinator. Yeah, there is no room to feel sorry for yourself in the Mid-States Football Association.
No, it's like I said earlier, it's arguably one of the best, in the country, and it's got a great reputation. And teams are, the one thing I say is, I believe at one point last year, I believe there were seven, maybe eight MSFA teams that were ranked in the top, 25 in receiving votes, something of that nature. So, every week you're playing, there is no, cupcakes, so to speak, that you can come in and just, roll over. Like, you got to go play every week. And keep that mentality of, we just tell our guys, just go 1-0 every week, keep it simplistic, focus on the task at hand, and, forget about everything else. And hopefully that eliminates a lot of, distractions or whatever it might have you towards that week.
Well, Coach, we do look forward to another great season of MSFA football, whether it be the Mid-East or the Midwest. They're both highly competitive divisions in their own right, and can't wait to see what USF comes out with this year.
Well, hopefully it's a good product. That's why we work every day, and our players are doing a great job. So, this offseason has been one of our best that we've had since I've been the head coach. But we got to put it on the field. We just can't say that we're doing it. We got to put it on the field, and that's the challenge every day. And finish up here this spring and over the summer and into fall camp and see where we're at come September.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIAFBALL Podcast presented by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the podcast as well as to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAFBALL and become a patron. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and listeners like you.